Hi, boys and girls. Today in math, we are going to practice making 3D shapes. So we're going to do kind of two activities. One, you're going to practice with me, and then afterwards, you're going to build shapes like you did yesterday. So first, let's practice. Let's pretend that I had these two shapes right here. What is this? A cylinder, that's right. And then let's say I also had this one right here. This is called a cube. That's right. So if I had one cylinder and one cube, could I make any of these below? Let's think about it. Could I make this shape if I had one cylinder and one cube? No, because this is made of what? Two with the same shape. This is made of two cubes, and we're pretending that I only have one cube and one cylinder. So I could not make this. Let's look at the second example. If I have one cylinder and one cube, could I have a cylinder and then stack one cube on top? Yes, that's right, I can. What about here? What do I see here? I notice there's a cylinder on bottom, but what's stacked on top of this shape? A cone. Do I have a cone? No. So I could not build this if I only had one cube and one cylinder. Let's practice again. Now this time I have three shapes. Practice naming these shapes with me. I have a cube, a cylinder, and then I have a cone. That's right. So I want to build something using all three of these shapes. Let's look at these examples. Could I build these using these three shapes? First, let's look here. What is this built made out of? On the bottom, there is a cylinder, and then stacked on top of the cylinder is a cube, and then stacked on top of the cube is a cone. Could I build that using these three shapes? Yes, that's right, I can. Now remember, I want to use all three shapes. Let's look at the next example. Can I build this using all three shapes? Well, let's look at it. What is being used here? I notice there's a cube and a cone. Does this use all three of my shapes? No. What shape am I missing? A cylinder, that's right. And if I wanted to use the cylinder, I would have to put it under my cube because I can't stack on top of the pointed part of a cone. I could only stack on things that are flat. So I am not going to be able to build this if I want to use all three shapes. Let's look at our last example. Does this use all three of our shapes? What do you notice on the bottom? On the bottom, there is a cube. What's stacked on top of the cube? A cylinder. That's right. And what is stacked on top of the cone or on top of the cylinder? A cone. That's right. I gave you a little hint. So, did I use all three of my shapes to build this? Yes, that's right. And also notice, it doesn't matter if I stacked my cylinder on top of my cube or put my cube on top of the cylinder. Either way it works because they both have that flat surface. Let's practice one more example. Now this is going to be a little bit different. Here is what I built. Can you tell which shapes I used to build this? What do you see on bottom? What do you see on top? Now let's look at the bottom here. So did I use a cylinder to build this? No. Did I use a cube to build this? Yes. And where is the cube? The cube is on the bottom. Or you could also say the cube is below which shape? What about this? Did I use a sphere to build this? No. And what about my cone? Did I use a cone to build this? Yes. So the cone is stacked on top of the cube. Good job, boys and girls. Now, just like we did yesterday, you are going to use materials to practice building 3D shapes. So you can use any of these supplies or something else that you have at home. You can use pipe cleaners, straws, pretzel sticks, which I saw a lot of my friends use yesterday, marshmallows, Play-Doh, yarn, spaghetti, toothpicks, Q-tips, or paper. You can use really anything to practice building your shapes. If you want to look at some of the examples, if you have Play-Doh, that's what I would use. You can use the Play-Doh to build your 3D shapes. So notice here we have a nice sphere because it's round and solid. Here we have a cube because it looks like a square on each flat surface. That's right. And Play-Doh is very fun to play with. You can also use spaghetti or toothpicks with little marshmallows or Play-Doh to build your shapes. I noticed a lot of my friends did that yesterday. Really nice job. You can also use paper if you need to. And you can fold these pieces of paper up into those shapes. We can't wait to see what you do. We'll talk soon, boys and girls.